Mr. Onyeka Akuma, a Nigerian-born entrepreneur. Mr. Onyeka Akuma, a Nigerian-born entrepreneur and the founder, CEO of Plenty Waka, and also Farm Cowdry, Nigeria's first digital agriculture platform with a network of over 250,000 farmers across 50 states in Nigeria since launching in November 2016. Mr. Onyeka is also the founder and CEO of Crowdivest Holdings, an impact-driven designed on a background of 17 SDG goals, focused on connecting its members to multiple sponsorships and opportunities that are safe, secure, and trusted. Prior to founding his company in 2016, Mr. Onyeka held several top management positions in high-profile organizations like Travel Better, Jumia, Waka Now, and Konga. He also worked for Deloitte, the British Council, and the Guaranty Trust Bank. More so, Mr. Onyeka was appointed by the e-Agric Stakeholders Forum by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Nigeria, and was also made one of the youngest members of the Honorary Council of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Recently, Mr. Onyeka and his team hit a massive endorsement with creating a Plenty Waka Ghana team by establishing a headquarters in Ghana, and it was a massive endorsement. At the moment, we would take a minute, sorry. Okay, so Mr. Chinedu Mirakunevo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Do you mind if you put your camera on, please?
Yeah, it's on now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So we'll start. As a PhD candidate in the United Kingdom, what formed your interest in seeking for external funding to study overseas?
Okay, thank you so very much for having me, and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I would say that my career journey has revolved around academics all the while. I had my first degree in economics at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and shortly after that, I came back to the University of Nigeria for my master's in economics. And yes, I knew I wanted to proceed. I wanted to proceed in academics, but I also needed something better because I had 2 degrees from Nigeria, and I felt like perhaps it's also a good time to look for something, from somewhere else. I've had the Nigerian experience, and I know I desire to have the experience elsewhere. And I didn't have the financial means to do that. So the only way it could ever be possible was to apply for scholarships. And another thing is that, I didn't really start the scholarship hunt early enough, I would say. Perhaps when I started gathering all the information and the fact that it was possible for me to get this scholarship was towards the end of my NYSC. And then I proceeded because I started initially then and I started applying, but because I didn't get the early ones, I went back to UNN for masters while still applying. So luckily for me, it was towards the end of my master's in UNN that I got the Pan-African University Scholarship funded by the African Union and the German Ministry of Education. So I proceeded. But to answer your question, the major thing that it motivated me to seek for funding outside is that I needed something better. I needed a higher experience from what is obtainable in Nigeria. I needed to get that exposure, the international exposure that would also count for my profile. And yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Okay. So as a final year student seeking to have a master's or a PhD overseas, what do you think are the necessary steps he or she should take to achieve what you have achieved or more?
Okay, thank you. Well, to be very frank with you, in our part of the world, we lack a lot of information. We lack information. You know, for most of us, when we start thinking about applying for scholarship, is probably when we are at the verge of finishing our NYSC or after we are done and we think, oh, this scholarship thing is obtainable. But one thing our people don't realize is that in these foreign schools, in these international schools, they really don't know about what we do, what we call NYSC, because it doesn't count in their selection process, for instance. So if you are in final year, you should start thinking about the application, because you don't have to give yourself the fact that I still have 1 year to do NYSC when I graduate, because you can actually get a scholarship even before you go for NYSC, because it's not part of their criteria. NYSC is only applicable to the Nigerian client. Maybe you want to work in Nigeria, or you want to contest for a political position in the future or something like that. So what I advise, my biggest advice now, which I missed, I wish I had somebody to tell me, is that you just need to start on time. If you are entering third year and you really have that ambition of, you know, progressing in your career, especially through scholarship, third year, first semester is a good time to start looking at schools, looking at their requirements, and planning, because you could get a scholarship immediately after your final year and you take an exemption from NYSC and go for your studies. You can easily do NYSC anytime, you know. So start on time, get people who have gone to that place you are looking for on time. That's another thing I also have for people in final year or third year, for instance. I have had that experience, and I found out that it's easier when you have somebody who has achieved what you want to achieve, and the person is by your side. The Pan-African University I applied for, I had a senior colleague in the department in economics, UNN, that before I started the application, I contacted him, and he was the one that put me through. You know, he guided me, he told me some of the, because now another thing I have to tell you is that for some scholarships, it's not everything that you need to know to stand a higher chance of getting it that is put in the application or in the call. There are certain things about the scholarship that only people who have entered that scholarship will know. So if you are in final year or third year, I'm linking final year and third year because I know that you really need to start on time. So if you are in final year or third year, and you know someone that has gotten a scholarship, or you know someone that knows someone that knows someone that has gotten a scholarship you are looking for, you can find a way to start building a connection with that person, so that you start gathering the information, both the information you can find on the internet and first-hand information that you can find from somebody who is there already. And when you start earlier enough, I believe it will help you. Yeah, that's the major thing. And another thing I would also add is perhaps keep an open mind. Yes, sometimes we have been told to fixate our minds on exactly what we want. Yes, you want this, you go for it. But my own reality has also told me that even as undergraduates, even till we get to final year, sometimes we have not really figured out what we want, and it is normal. So the fact that perhaps you want to go for mechanical engineering when you are in final year, there is a higher chance that after that final year, as the years drop, as the years go, you find out that you actually would want something better or different from that mechanical engineer you thought you want. So you keep an open mind. You could be, for instance, applying for things in engineering in general, not just mechanical. As you keep going in life, you keep figuring out what you want. And I think if you put these things in place, it will help you a lot to land your scholarship easily. As we progress, I'll still add more to this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I would take a shift from you for now, and I would move to pharmacist Izini. Are you here, please?
Hi.
Can you hear me, Ma?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ma. Welcome. Do you mind?
Thank you.
Or Do you mind putting your video on?
Oh my, today has been a day of errands.
Okay.
So I'm actually wearing a mask.
It's fine. So, while reading your profile, I noticed you have learned so many things as relating to the Africa Center for Disease Control. So, we would like to ask, what steps did you take in building such a proficient career like that for yourself?
Okay, so first of all, I'm a pharmacist in public health, and it's not the typical career path for pharmacists. And why I decided to go this way was like, um, when we when we are filling our jam forms, we're not really advised properly. And because I knew it's not my thing. And because of that, um, I started making plans as to what else can I do aside pharmacy. So once an opportunity came during my NYSC for me to go into public health, I started with logistics, building logistics structures for a public health program in mental health. And so from there, I built a resume that enabled me during my NYSC to get an international job. So it was the effort I put in that little NYSC job that I was being paid peanuts for that gave me the leverage to get into the international space 1 year after graduating from school. And once I got there, of course, I didn't know enough to land that job. If it was by academic qualification, I didn't have an MPH or anything, but I decided to do my best to land the job. So I had mentors, I made sure I took online classes, I took courses, I took a lot of mock programs just to get the theoretical background because I was learning a lot in the field. And for like 1 whole year, I just learned and learned and learned and put myself 150% into the job. And with that, I was able to grow. My group was the group that was sent to establish the regional office of Africa CDC because Africa CDC was just 1 year old when we came in. So it was a huge task to set up like a regional office of a very big institution like that. So um, really having that mentorship, good mentorship, and trying to improve myself also helped me to be seen by my superiors because I was doing a good job. And of course, they gave me more things to do and I did them well. And if I didn't know how to do it, I wasn't ashamed to say, could you guide me as to how to do this better? So that's how I grew very quickly. And within a short time, I was able to sort of amass a huge portfolio for someone who's just 6 years out of school and without an MPH in a field where MPH is, well, a lot. So I've tried to do an MPH twice, but the work hasn't allowed me, but I'm actually currently doing an MPH now. And that's because finally I'm a bit more focused. I really sort of agree with what the previous speaker was saying about not to be so fixated on one thing. Sometimes you just go with the flow. So I started MPH twice because it was necessary for my field, but then it was just the sort of let's do an MPH for the sake of MPH. But now that and the thing also is, while I was building my career in public health, I wanted to streamline myself to something that also had a pharmaceutical background. So that's why once the opportunity for vaccines came, I started gravitating towards that. And once people know that you can deliver, they're comfortable letting you start new things. So I started up initiatives around vaccine data collection, vaccine rollouts in Africa CDC. And so That's how I got the job now I have as vaccine program coordinator for Africa CDC, even without an MPH. So the MPH is in motion, and I'm glad I'm finally doing it. But the thing I'm going to say is, what has brought me here is one, positioning yourself for opportunities, and also making sure that once those opportunities come, you're ready for them and be willing to put in the work for it. So that's a lot I've said, but open for next question.
Okay, okay. So from what you have said, can I say your biggest turning points was being allowed to work in an international community after your 1 year service, or are there other biggest turning points for you?
Okay, so there's this thing to tell me that Nigerians are allowed. I mean, I've been outside the country for like 5 years now, and I've gotten to work in a lot of places. And I always say, oh, you Nigerians are allowed and all that. But one of my selling points is that apologies for the noise. Like I said, I'm running errands today. I'm traveling tomorrow. One of my biggest selling points is that I speak up. I'm not ashamed to put myself out there, not in a rude way or a brash way, but if I can do something, I take initiative and start doing it. I don't really wait to be told this has to be done. So one big thing for me is initiatives, and that's because you're helping them do their work, sort of. So yes, I've been lucky enough to be given opportunities that typically as a young person I wouldn't have had. And two, I love, and three, I I love mentorship. So anywhere I go, anywhere I find myself, I try to find out who knows the most, who can guide me in this, who is the person I'm going to learn the most from, and I attach myself to the person. And so that has made me really grow a lot.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Mara. So I would come back to you while we move to Mr. Onyeka. Mr. Onyeka, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
hello, hi.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. So I have noticed you have moved and transformed so well, moving from so many companies in which you co-founded and which you have done, including Plenty Waka, which you just started. So what really formed those ideas for you? Because most entrepreneurs just sit down and think of what they can do for themselves, but at the end of the day, the ideas don't come. So how do you think entrepreneurs get this kind of spirit for them to make or create specific ideas to advance like you have done?
Okay, thanks for having me. If I'm going to talk about my ideas, this is where it came from. First, I identified that we live in a country called Nigeria, where today we're told that we have 200 million people that live in this country. As I'm speaking to everyone on the call, each one of us have basic needs that is common amongst all of us. And if there are 200 million people, they have the same needs. One is they need where to sleep, so they need shelter. They need what to eat, so they need food. They need to move around. Nigerians move around a lot. We need where to keep money, so we need some financial solutions. We need electricity, so we need power solutions. We need governance. We need security. Now, these are common problems that people face on a day-to-day basis across the country. And so for me, in 2000, I've worked in a couple of corporates, and I've also, my background has been in technology. So my first degree was in software engineering. I don't even have any other degree after that. I just did my first degree in software engineering. I went ahead to work for a couple of corporates. I've worked in Deloitte, I've worked with British Council, and I think it was while I was in British Council that there was this particular speaker that came and was talking to to a group of people. I was just part of the organizers of the event in British Council. And he talked about these different sectors that I just mentioned and said, in all of these sectors, Nigerians need service on a day-to-day basis. Now, I'm speaking as an entrepreneur. And so what I did for myself was I picked 3 sectors in 2009 and said these were the sectors that I would want to use my own skill set, which was at this time in technology, to create solutions for people. So it starts with identifying what sector do you want to play in, and then 2, looking at yourself and saying, how do I use my own skill set? I am not like any other person on this call. We all have different skill sets. We all have what we're passionate about. We all have what we're built in. We all have what we've gone to school and learned. So I wanted to use what I had learned and see how I could create solutions in those 3 sectors. What were the sectors for me? Agriculture, because I know people need to eat. Real estate, I built a real tech platform, and then transportation. Now, this was 2009. I went on to work for many other companies. Before I launched, so I had one startup I launched in the course of working for other people, but the main ones that people know about today are Farm Crowdy, Rent Small Small, and Plenty Waka. Before Farm Crowdy, I worked for 10 years for other people's companies. I worked to the point that people thought that I owned those companies. And so I was diligent enough to give my best in those companies, but I was focused on one thing. I wanted to learn different aspects of running a business while helping other people to do theirs. I learned how to recruit people and fire people. I learned how to raise money and lose money. I learned how to raise money and keep money. I learned how to generate revenue on the businesses I was building. I learned accounts. I learned marketing. I learned engaging with technology people. So 10 years of grooming myself, working for other people. And these businesses that I worked for, they are now household names. So the first startup I worked with was in 2010 called Wakana. I was staff number 17 in Wakana, but people don't know that. I helped to build their web and mobile presence. I helped with their digital marketing for 2 years, 2010 to 2012. Then I joined Jumia. By that time, it wasn't called Jumia, it was called Sabunta and Kasua. I became one of the first employees, maybe the first Nigerian in the team in Nigeria, and helped to recruit the first 50 people in the team and built Jumia into what you now know as Jumia. Then I moved from there to Konga to create Konga's marketing team. I moved from there to help to launch Travel Better. I became employee number 1 in Travel Better to launch that business. But all that time was me honing my skills for my own startup. Now, people know me today for Farm Crowdy, or they know me for Plenty Waka. And somebody will ask me, what's your magic wand to make these businesses succeed? I have no magic wand. It's 10 years of doing this for other people and honing my skills with those people and then getting ready for my startups. Now, I picked my 3 sectors. In agriculture, I created what we now know as Farm Crowdy. And now we've been able to aggregate close to 500,000 farmers, and we're building what is now regarded as one of the largest agtech platforms in Nigeria. I've moved on from there. I mean, while I was there, I partnered with someone else and created something called Rent Small Small that allow people to pay rent on a monthly basis in Lagos. I moved on from there and found another opportunity 2 years later, and it was all in the space of two years, to create what you now know as Plenty Waka. Plenty Waka, by the way, is headquartered in Canada. It's not headquartered in Ghana. What happened in Ghana, because I heard you in the intro talking about it, we acquired a startup in Ghana to expand our operations to Ghana, and then we're going to be looking at expanding into other African countries. Today, we have moved close to 500,000 people in less than 2 years in Plenty Waka using the technology we've created. But all of that is coming from all these things that I mentioned that have happened prior to me coming into Plenty Waka. So right now, I focus on Plenty Waka. Right now, I'm the CEO of Plenty Waka, and I'm trying to build the largest shared mobility platform on the continent.
Thank you. Thank you. And sorry for that mix-up. So I think we picked 3 things, which are you pick your sector, you own your skill, and you groom yourself to become the best entrepreneur. Well, at some point, when it comes to creating business, our Nigerian youth have this problem of where do I get the first set of funding, or who is going to help me get this required fund to start this business? So are there places or ideas they can look into, or banks, or do you think they should go into loans and all that to get money to kick off their business?
Okay, in funding your businesses, I'm going to speak from two angles. I built one business, and before I even started the business, I went ahead and raised equity funding. And eventually that business didn't succeed as much as I wanted to. And eventually we sold that business. Then I've done it successfully with Farm Crowdy, with Plenty Waka, and Rent Small Small. How do you fund your business idea? The first way I funded my business idea, especially with Farm Crowdy, was I worked for an organization before I started Farm Crowdy. I started saving 50% of my salary over a period of about 9 months. I was keeping 50% of my salary to help me fund the startup of Farm Crowdy. Now, when I also did Plenty Waka, I did the same thing. It is not advisable if you're starting a business to go and take loan to launch it. It is better you use the resources you have within yourself. So one is I saved money from the job that I was working at. The second thing I did was capital to start a business is not always cash. It can also be a network of people. It can be relationships you've built. And so I leveraged on the relationships I had. So for instance, let me use a case in point. When I started, let me use Farm Crowd. When I started Farm Crowdy, I needed someone that understood. I needed someone to handle the financial bit, or I'll go and pay an accountant to do that. But I found a friend that was doing this already in the past for other smaller businesses. And in the conversations we had, I was able to bring him on board as a co-founder. He's now the CEO of Farm Crowdy today. But at that time, I was able to bring him as a co-founder to help me in dealing with the financial issues, the accounting issues that I needed to take care of, so that I don't have to pay for that. That was how I dealt with that. Technology, I knew I needed to build a platform. I looked for a co-founder that I have known for many years, built a relationship with for many years, and brought him on board to help me build the technology to get the business off the ground. So I don't have to pay somebody when I don't have the money to pay that person to build the technology for me, and we keep the technology in-house. I use my relationships to get those people to create that. Even when we had to pay for certain things, I was able to get on credit those things because of the relationship I had built with those businesses in the past to get my business up and running and promise that at so time, we will pay you once I'm able to get equity in by raising funds. This is what I call relationship capital beyond financial capital. Now, down the line, I want to still get this business off the ground, right? And so I've moved my business from an idea, and I have my first paying customer. Usually, I advise entrepreneurs, find ways to survive your first 3 months before you go out to raise equity. That way, you would be able to keep for yourself a large chunk of the equity, because it's no longer just a business on idea and an idea on paper. It is now something that people are paying for. It's now something you have paying customers for. So you focus on growing the business for 3 months, and then you're keeping records. You're keeping traction of what it was like on day one and what it would look like in day two and what it was like after the first month. You compare the first month with the second month. That becomes your case in point for you to now start presenting your business to potential investors to invest in your business. And so those are things that I've seen. Then the last thing I'll say is, if you're able to get into an accelerator program, but you won't be able to successfully do that without some level of traction. And so you find ways of getting traction. And if you can get into an accelerator program, that becomes an exciting way of spearheading this business and just taking it, giving it the leap that it needs to sustain itself and grow. So if you notice, I avoided loans and debt. Do not take loans and debt until you have a proven model. You've mitigated risk to the barest minimum. You understand how money will go in and come out and you make money. That is when you can take loan and debt. But initially, you need equity capital, you need relationship capital, you can use your own savings, you can use your own family and friends to seed the business if you believe in it. And the last thing is, investors will only invest in the business where they see the entrepreneur is all in. If you're an entrepreneur that is doing your 9 to 5 and you want to start a business And what it looks like is this is a side gig. People don't invest in side gigs. Even when they want to invest in your side gig, they wait for when you're committed 100%, and then they know that you're able to deliver on the mandate. The last thing I'll say is investors invest in businesses that they see the team has the right kind of people. The team has the experience in the sector. The team has a passion for that business. The team has shown capability to deliver on the mandate around that business. Those are the kind of businesses that raise money. And so you've got to be formidable. You've got to have the experience. You've got to take on other opportunities to show capacity to deliver before you present yourself to an investor, and then they get excited about investing in your business.
Wow. Oh, so thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I guess some of our audience are also noting most of these things that you have said. I noted the time you said you would be leaving, and hopefully I just wish the next 10, 15 minutes, I think I should get back to you to give us your final words, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chinedu, are you still on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, yes. So we're coming back to the academics line again. Now, when it comes to building skills as undergraduates or graduates, because at some points during writing the scholarship essays, we get to write about volunteering experience or leadership skills and all that. So are there ways or organizations or things we can do in order to get these requisite skills? Because most graduates just come out of the university with just a BSc without having the soft skills or the hard skills in which they should know as Nigerians.
Yeah, thank you so very much for that question. And to be frank with you, it's one singular reason I said that we should start on time. Because a lot of time we write essays. I'll be very honest with us. You know, we write essays and then we say things that we don't have. We say things that we've not done. And we have a very high chance of not getting the scholarship. But eventually, when we get that scholarship, we begin to suffer inside the program because we lied to get in, and you know, we didn't really experience what we wanted. We just had to say anything to get in. But how do you build these skills you need? Volunteer experience. As an undergraduate, you still have sometimes, even though some people would disagree with me, they say you have assignments, you have this, you have that. But I'll tell you that as an undergraduate, you still have some little time in your hands, even if not when the semester is in session. During those vacations, during those semester vacations, you still have some time. Volunteer in the area you want to proceed. It may not be paid. You may not be paid for it. Yeah, there is this thing they say that first of all, you learn, and then after learning, you remove the L so that you earn. So when you are starting off and you know what you want, you are going for, let's say, energy, engineering or renewable energy, whatever. And perhaps there is a waste recycling company around your house, around your vicinity, where you can volunteer to actually see how this renewable energy studies works and all. You can volunteer for that, even without paying. Yes, they are not paying you, but you are gathering the needed skills and experience and exposure you will need. And why it is important to volunteer is that you will notice, because if you notice in the problem, when you are writing your SOP, one of the things is they normally want to know is, what problem do you want to solve with this scholarship? Or if we train you, if we give you this scholarship, after studying this program, what problems are you going to solve with the skills you gathered here? And how do you identify those problems? From the previous volunteer experiences you've gone through, you find out, okay, this and this and this. I find out that I have interest in this, but this is one problem that I could solve that Nigerians are facing. You have a first-hand experience of a problem you can solve. You are not just manufacturing something for the sake of writing SOP, you know? So I have to beg the undergraduate, and sometimes even after your undergraduate, do a lot of volunteering, NGOs, a lot of community service. That is the first part. Then on the second part, online courses. You know, people tend to neglect online courses, but they are very important. I'll give you an instance. There are some people, even though we may think it's outdated, but there are some people that even up till now, they are doing a course that their parents forced them to do. Originally, it wasn't the course they wanted to do in the university, but they are doing that because, I mean, they want to play to the tune of the person that will pay the fees because they don't have the money to pay for what they want. And now, towards the end of that program they are doing that they are not enjoying, they are not passionate about, they want to go to another area for their master's or their PhD or whatever. So how do you get some needed skills in the area you want to transition into, even though it was not what you studied? Through those online courses. There are a lot of online courses in Coursera, in Udemy, in EDX, in different online platforms. So you go there, you pick some of the core courses there, and you can spend a little money to get their certificate. Do like 2, 3, 4, 5, as much as your finances and your time can carry. So that even if you are presenting the certificate from the area you want to transition from, you are still adding some courses, some relevant courses or some relevant skills into the area you want to transition into. In that case, you stand a high chance. I'm doing a PhD, and I must be very frank with you. You struggle a lot when you lie about an area you are not passionate about, you are not interested in. And even the problem you lied about in your SOP, you have not even identified the problem and you don't care about it. So you will find out that in the long run, you will be left, you and your laptop and your coffee cup, staring at something you don't want. And it can really be scary. When you do these volunteer experiences, you gather the skills, you know what you want, you add some online courses, and you'll be relevant so that when you are applying for it, you stand a high chance too of competing with the rest of the world. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. But now, scholarship platforms. Are there, how do undergraduates go about picking these scholarship platforms? Could you just tell us more about the scholarship platforms in which they can apply for whichever courses they would want to do, especially the ones applicable to Africans?
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much for that. There are 2 ways to do that. Yeah, first is by registering in scholarship platforms. And there are a lot of them. Scholarship for Africa, Scholarship Position, Scholarship and Aid. There are a lot of them. So one way is to maybe browse something like scholarship websites. So you get this scholarship website. Immediately you enter the website, they'll ask you to subscribe to our email. And once you subscribe to their email, they'll be sending you alerts of new scholarships. That is one way. So those ones, but the thing is that for these scholarship platforms, most times they send and advertise only the general, very popular scholarships, the Chevening, the Commonwealth, the DAD, those ones that are popularly known. But the truth is that there are 1,001 scholarships that you may not find in these scholarship platforms. And how do you get them? I know for US and Canada, most times they don't even advertise for their scholarship, because for most of the schools in US and Canada, on yearly basis, you are sure that the departments would advertise for scholarship in their website. So they don't put it out in the scholarship platform. So that leads me to the second way you can do it. The second way is to identify exactly the country you are interested in and the courses you are interested in that country. Then when you've identified this country and the courses you are and the university you are interested in, then go directly to the university website and follow them up. schools in US, schools in Canada, and some schools in UK, most times on yearly basis, they will give you these requirements. They give you when they publish their scholarship call each year. So in that case, you are going there to wait for them and get the requirements, prepare for it. And in some cases, you can even identify potential supervisors from there. People you think that when you are writing your essay, if you mention their names, they, that you've contacted them before and, they've replied your email and you've built a correspondence with them, that they are willing to supervise you or they are willing to guide you in your application. It also increases your chance of landing a scholarship. And then you follow it up. You prepare beforehand, before the application starts, So register for the scholarship platforms, like I said, and then follow up the schools and the universities you are interested in and the courses early enough. I don't know if I answered the question. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, you did. Thank
Okay.
you. So the next time I would be calling you to be, if we have a question from the audience. Thank you,
Okay.
sir. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Pharmacist Smar. Pharmacist Isney. Is she still on the call? So at this point, we can start taking questions from the audience. If you have any question for any of our panelists, you can drop them in the comments section and I would read them and they would answer affirmatively. Oh, okay. Pharmacist, so we have another question for you. Can you hear me, Ma?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So you have successfully worked on so many projects in the past and currently working on this project as a pharmacist. How strategic were you in pitching yourself to be like a best candidate for this particular kind of project?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't hear the end.
I was saying you have successfully worked in so many projects in the past and in present. While reading your profile, we get to know about your involvement with cholera in Zambia and in South Africa with listeriosis. So when it comes to these organizations, how able were you to pitch yourself as a worthy person to take over this project, man?
Okay, first is I realize the power of networking. And when people work with you and they know that you're capable, you're more likely to get onto other projects because everybody wants someone who can deliver. So that's one thing is, like I said, there are opportunities abound, but you need to be prepared for those opportunities when they come. So you can have the network, but if you're not able to deliver, you won't get people referring you for jobs or for things. So sometimes you don't know the conversations that are being had about you. You just get an email, someone says, oh, we need you to go and lead this here. We need you to go and lead that here. That's because conversations have been had. And somehow your name came up as someone who is capable of doing the task. And that's how that happens. So that's how I have been able to do so many varied things because I did the work. I have to praise myself a bit. I really put in the work to make sure that I'm consistently putting out good work. And so when there is an opportunity, at least my name can come up as someone who consistently delivers. So that's what I would tell people. Try to build networks wherever you go and also be valuable to that network. It's going to open a lot of doors for you, no matter how small, no matter how big the opportunity is.
you can start small, but build networks, be valuable to your networks.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, and thank you for your thoughts. It is well noted by the audience. So we'll take questions from the chats box. So the first one for Mr. Chinedu. Where is it? Sorry. Mr. Onyeka, are you here? We have a question for you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so Mr. Tony, you can ask.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jude. So, first of all, Mr. Chinedu said, as you keep going in life, you discover what you want. And I also like what Mr. Onyeka said when he said, people think that he owned the company. You know, the amount of energy we are putting in doing other people's work, and then people saw you and then they thought you own the company yourself. And then our pharmacist too, she also spoke in that line. So my question is, Mr. Onyeka, you mentioned the relationship capital. So my question is, when did you start building this particular relationship? Was it when you were working in other people's business, or was it at a point where you, of course, discovered that this is a better place that you want to build in? Was it at that point that you started building that relationship capital? And how did you even build it anyway? Like in my head, I'm just thinking I'm just thinking about what this particular kind of capital can do for me and can do for someone. So I'm thinking, what did it actually do? How do you build it? Are there some specific skills that you need to get to also maintain or build this capital? So 2 questions in one. How or when did you start building this relationship capital, and what are the things you did, or are there skills that one needs to develop, to maintain this relationship capital? So thank you.
Okay, so when did I start building relationship capital? I think for me, it started from, you build relationships anytime. You can start today. And when I mean relationship, I mean, I see someone that is good with what he does. He's a very good graphics designer. I'm not that great a graphic designer. We start having conversations. Maybe there's one project I have to do. I invite him to do the graphics. I do another part. So for me, I just started doing that with people from school. I think 2003, in my first, in school, that was when I knew, there's a friend of mine that I knew in 2003 that's currently my co-founder and CTO of Farm Crowdy. And I've known him since 2003. At that time, he taught me Java programming. I was good with other forms of programming, but he taught me Java programming. But I saw his personality. I saw his core values. I saw the way he related to people. I saw his sense of integrity. I could see he was a very hardworking person. So I kept tabs with him. It took me, we worked together on maybe 1 or 2 projects, but it took us 13, 14 years before I had a business that I wanted him to work with me on, and we're able to do that. We had done several other things in the past. Now, within that period, I had moved from doing stuff in school. So I created websites in school. I had people I created websites with. There are people that I built relationships with then that are not working with me today, because maybe I saw things that I didn't really like them. And so it starts from that place where you identify a person that has a skill and you appreciate it. You're not jealous of it. You just appreciate it from a place where potentially, if I'm doing something that needs this person's skill, I can work with him or work with her. That is where relationship building starts for me. And over time, because I've worked in many places, because I've worked for many people, whether it's free or I've charged, it allows me to continue to build my network of people around me.
Okay.
So that's where my relationships come from. There are people that will connect with you on LinkedIn. I have close to 22,000 people that are connected with me on LinkedIn. Some of them I know, some of them I don't know. That's not where I necessarily get my co-founders from. I may identify a staff that will work for my organization from LinkedIn, but doesn't mean that I will get my co-founder from there. I need co-founders in people that I already have a connection with and we've done business together. And I've known you 3, 4, 5, 10 years before the idea. Now, leading to the second question around, your second question was around, please can you just remind me?
Are there skills that we need to, get or build to maintain or sustain this relationship? Yeah.
See, it's a relationship. It's just like you're dating a girl. I see you're Anthony. Say you're dating a girl. What are the skills you need to get that girl? It's the same thing. You need to give to get, right? I'm trying to get somebody that I know someone that is good with I know someone that is good with mathematics, or I know someone that is good with governance, relating with government people. And we're in a common place, a place where I maybe play football and you play football, and on the football pitch, we're connecting and we're playing. I see how you carry yourself on the football pitch. And then we talk business and I see how you carry yourself. And maybe there's an opportunity to work together. I see how you carry yourself. Something has started. Over time, there may be an opportunity for me to do something for you, and it's free, it's easy for me to do, and I do it. And then there's something you do for me for free, and you do it. And gradually we become friends, right? So that then leads to a point where we can then eventually identify a business where you're bringing your complementary skill set to complement my own skill set to then execute on this business idea. It is as simple as that. What is the skill? Give first. You give first and you get, that is one. 2, identify that they have similar core values with you. 3, make sure they're people of integrity. Surround yourself with these kind of people, and you will have people that are strong, formidable people that you can work with. The last thing is they're as hardworking as you are and as passionate as you are. They don't need to have 20 years experience in the space. They just need to have the same level of passion and the level of excitement to execute on the idea. And voila, they become your co-founders. They can ideally become your co-founders in that business. Ideal co-founders are people that I can quarrel with and they understand where I'm coming from. They know it's nothing personal. And later on, we're having fun together. We're able to talk over it on drinks. We're able to talk over it on playing games. We're able to talk over it on actually executing on the idea. And we know that we are doing this together for the common good of that idea we're building. Those are the best kind of co-founders you can have. So you don't need any special skill set. You just need to find the right kind of people that have these similar qualities. And then ideally, they become people you can build businesses with.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Yeah. My next question, pharmacist Ezine, if you are still in the house.
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Okay. Thank you. So my next question is, you mentioned positioning yourself for opportunity. So for the undergraduates among us, and then for people who probably soon enough will be going for NYSC, in the Nigerian ecosystem, the idea of volunteering does not, or the opportunity to volunteer, yes, let me say it that way, does not actually come handy, more especially volunteering in a particular place where you actually want to go. So what advice do you have? Do you think that it's okay to, it's volunteering now, let's just volunteer in anyone, maybe any headsway can come. Do you think it's okay like that? Or we pray and hope and then look out for a particular volunteering experience that might actually be in line with what's or the career that we want to pursue?
Okay, so this is a very common question because yes, we are not like the abroad where volunteering is a normal thing. But I'm going to tell people this, there's more that you can get from volunteering than the skills you need for your job.
Okay.
I built leadership skills from volunteering throughout my university days. And the public speaking skills I have now are from volunteering throughout my university days. I'm bold enough to walk up to anybody and talk to them from skills I developed from volunteering. So there's more to just, I want to be a lawyer and I want to volunteer in a law firm, or I want to be this and I want to volunteer in that particular place. If that works out for you, great. But just know that there is a whole lot more that can position you for those things that you want.
Okay.
Finally, it starts from somewhere. So just know that there are skills, there are soft skills that sometimes people overlook, because you can teach anybody anything. I mean, you can teach people, you can learn on the job. There are people who are employed and then they do a whole training all together again. But then what they're looking for is, do you have those soft skills? And you can pick up those soft skills from volunteering. So let's not just focus so much on the technicalities and the technical skills. If you have the opportunity to volunteer in a place that has that, amazing. But if you don't, volunteer where you can and get the skills, that those soft skills that will take you even much further than if not than the regular technical skills that we all want to gain. And while you're volunteering, do courses like someone had mentioned. So the know-how and the soft skills are definitely going to put you way ahead of other people. And it speaks a lot that you, instead of sitting at home, you spend your time actually doing something, a worthy cause, or you're even combining it while working. So there's never a wasted volunteer opportunity.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Over to you, Jude. Thank you. Hello, Jude. Are you there? I can hear you. Check your plugin.
Sorry, Mr. Chinedu
Okay.
Nevo.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, so I would also want you to give your own insight about volunteering, since most undergraduates or most graduates also talk about these experiences when they write statements of purpose or the motivation letter when they apply for some of these scholarships. So someone was asking, how do you assess them as undergraduates specifically?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Pharmacicism said it all. The thing is that in our part of the world, we don't value transferable skills. We only count when you are a programmer, a graphic designer, you are good in energy economics and all those big things. But the transferable skills, they count a lot. And these are the soft skills that you really need. And in our world of today, part of the reasons you get to see people who are good in their job, but they don't care about their workers' mental health. They don't care about their students, whether they are dying or living. All they want is to publish papers, and it's because possibly the people that assess them looked at only their hard skills without considering the soft skills. People management, leadership, negotiation, personal interrelationship, teamwork, ability to cope in different environments. These are very important skills that, we tend to neglect a lot of times, and it is not good. Okay, so for my experience in the university, yeah, I took a lot of things. Yeah, I was a president of the Policy and Analysis and Research Group of the Department of Economics, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So basically, what we're doing in that organization is like, just like it's like a model or a model of the National Assembly, where we review the budget, we analyze Nigeria's economic policies, we look at their implications and all of that. Yeah, I joined in my first year and I became the president in my third year. So with this, I was able to learn how to lead. I was able to learn how to manage teams. And I actually worked with very difficult people. I learned how to manage teams. Sometimes when our events were clashing with departmental activities, sometimes I had to meet lecturers to negotiate. I learned how to negotiate with lecturers. You know, I was part of different choirs. Well, I happened to sing with Mr. Jude during my master's, but we'll talk about that later. So I joined different choirs, both within the university and outside the university. At a point, I was the secretary of the choir. I learned how to manage these things and still maintain my academics. I learned how to work with a little time plan. When the time is very small, I learned how to manage it and still deliver. Sometimes we write 3 exams in one day. I learned how to manage that. Sometimes we have a musical concert and I have an exam the following morning. And I have to do the 2 because I love the music on one part and I want to pass my exam very well. So I learned how to manage my time. So all these soft skills, I learned how to relate with people with different mindsets, with different orientation, different background, So if you do these things in your undergraduate, it will help you a lot. Yes, I'm in the United Kingdom now, and I can tell you that they value a lot of transferable skills. You can learn most technical skills on the job, most of them, because no matter what you know in a particular job, once you enter that job, they will still subject you to fresh training and learn their business. You see that? But there are some soft skills that they can't teach you there. Character, integrity, your ability to socialize with other people in the office. The fact that you are not the person that only what you say is what you want to stand and nothing else. You cannot buy into other people's idea. Like, these are very, and to be frank, they take it very seriously here. So if you are in the undergraduate, take up, there is this SUG, there is this whole government leadership, there is this choral program, there is like
clubs.
Exactly, there are a lot of clubs and all. Take up this. Yes, it may not be volunteering in the right sense of what you want to get, but trust me, you are gaining more than you will ever realize from those. And they helped me. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Tony, before you ask your question, I would also say most of these experiences, you can also put them in your essay. There are some questions that would require you to mention these experiences and how you have been able to either show your leadership skills or handle a particular situation in which you were either in a dilemma to do that particular job or that particular stuff in that particular time. So there are school clubs, there are, like you mentioned, SUG, all governor. Even though you didn't get to the highest level, at least, okay, do like a campaign manager or something. Oh, I contributed in doing this, I contributed in that can give you like an edge. At least you tried to do something. Before going out, before passing out your final exams, at least you have some experience to write in your essay. So I think there's still one more question for you from Mr. Tony.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chinedu, thank you. The question I want to ask, you talked about starting early or starting on time. So, like for some people who have started, maybe they started on time and while in school, they still didn't get the scholarship, they were looking for, and then they are out of school. So you think do you think they still have a chance to reapply for that same opportunity, maybe in another place also, or maybe in the same place? I don't know, but I'm trying to figure out how you can also not give up, even when you started on time and then something didn't come at the time you expected? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so very much. Yeah, I also get that question a lot, and it's easier to give up than to continue.
I agree.
Okay, when I started my master's scholarship application during my NYSC, like I said. Unfortunately, I didn't start on time because I didn't have a lot of advisors and all. So I started during NYSC. But during my NYSC, I got 9 admissions in UK and 1 in Switzerland. 3 of them came with partial funding. None came with a full funding. I rejected all of them. I didn't go. Because there was no way I would fund it. So, you know, in a program that the tuition fee is £16,000 and they are waiving £7,000 for you. The remaining £9,000 is approximately 4 million naira. Where will I get the money? I didn't have it. You see that? So I left them. So what did I do? I knew I wanted to go back to school, and I knew I didn't want to continue with the Nigerian experience. So then, immediately after my NYSC, I was teaching in a secondary school in Bielsa then, you know, to keep body and soul together while looking for what I was looking for. And I found out that even though I didn't want to continue my education in Nigeria, if I stay away from school environment for too long, it may affect my reasoning, the way I'm thinking. It may start killing my ambition. Yes, the first batch of applications have failed, but I still needed to be in a school environment. So I'll see other people who are applying for these things and I'll be motivated to apply. I applied for masters in UNN. Originally, I had already sworn before that time that I would never do any other program in Nigeria. But because the reality dawned on me that it doesn't happen our way all the time. So I had to go back to UNN for my masters. So my hope was that as I'm doing that masters, I'll be applying, and hopefully if I get the scholarship, I will abandon that one and jackpot, like we used to say it. You know, I continued my masters. As I was doing my masters, I was applying. Rejections were trooping in. The thing about rejection is that I always console myself that no matter the number of rejections, only one yes will make all the difference I want. Just one. So if I am able to keep up, and even if I have 100 rejections, and then I try to hang in there so I can get that one yes. It's not like I need 100 yes to reverse the 100 rejections. No, I just need one yes. And that's what I tell myself, and then I keep going. So rejections were trooping in. I applied for Commonwealth twice. I applied for Chevening, it didn't work. I applied for MasterCard, it failed. I applied for that, it failed. I applied for some US, it failed. Like, at a point, I became used to, the whole rejection. I see it as fun. Yes, sometimes what doesn't kill you may not make you stronger, but then most times what doesn't kill you will make you stronger, right? So, I was there, I kept applying. So eventually, through that, my friend had guided me for the Pan-African University Scholarship. Initially, remember what I told you, to keep an open mind, that sometimes you don't get exactly what you want the way you want it. Yes, I know I wanted UK, but when the Pan-African University Scholarship came, I had to start in Algeria. Yes, they helped me to get an internship I did in Germany, But after the Pan-African University program, I now got another scholarship in UK. You see that? It's now adding up, but not when I wanted it. But I just use that one as a stepping stone to what I want. So the advice is that you can apply as many times as possible. And even if you started on time and it didn't work out for you, trust me, there is no point giving up. I've seen people who graduated for second class lower get fully funded scholarships because they didn't give up. And while they were applying, they were building themselves. So You can apply even if you are, you think you've applied for 4 years, 5 years, and it's not working. Keep applying. 1 year will make all the difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chinedu. I think we also have 2 extra questions for you before we have Mrs. Izine give a final word. So, Mr. Chinedu, first I would like to clarify this. Ms. Victoria, Mr. Chinedu didn't say anything about you applying during NYSC. He was only stating his experience applying for scholarship after or during NYSC. So I would like to rephrase our question. She was asking, when is the right time to start applying for this scholarship? That's the first one. And someone is, Mr. Anthony Anongo is also asking about exams. So some of these scholarships require TOEFL and IELTS. So how do you scale through some of these exams, especially scholarships that require, or schools that require you to get an English proficiency certificate?
Okay, yeah, thank you so very much for that. So for the first question about when should you start applying?
Yes.
I would suggest once you're about to enter 3rd year, start thinking about the scholarships you want and the places you want to go to. You have your options. Start thinking about it, make an Excel sheet, the country, the courses, the likely universities, maybe 5 for each. You identify these things in your 3rd year, look at their requirements and all of that. You can try your first application immediately you start your final year 1st semester. You can try your first application then. Like I told you, if you get a fully funded scholarship before you go for your NYSC, you have no problem at all, because those guys, they don't really know what NYSC is all about. So you can take an exemption and then you go for your program. You can easily do your NYSC when you return. So from 3rd year, you can start thinking about it. Then you can put in an application from your final year. It may not be the best of applications, fine. But to have that experience, you can, apply for as much as maybe 2 or 3 in that final year. You get the experience. Some people, when they give you a rejection letter and you ask them to point you at some areas you need to improve or what made them not to select you, they would actually tell you. So when you ask for these and they tell you some areas you need to improve to stand a better chance of getting another scholarship, you note it down. By then you are gaining the experience. So you keep applying, but 3rd year, final year is fine. Then for the question of IELTS and TOEFL, that's a big one. Okay. I will tell you also based on my own experience. So most schools in United Kingdom, if you negotiate with them, they will wait for you. Writing email became my second name. I can frame email like this, and tell them this and this and that and that. My country, I've studied English from the womb. I tell them different things, and at the end of the day, most of them actually waived it for me in that first, those first chain of admissions that I got. So for UK, if you tell them, write to them, tell them that you did your first degree in English. And there is, for our Nigerian universities, I know of UNN, I don't know for other schools, there is a proficiency certificate in English that if you ask for, you can get it. So that certificate, it normally states that you studied in English for your undergraduate program and all. So you try and get it. It can range between 5,000 and 20,000 naira, depending on the school in Nigeria. So what you do is you get that certificate and you can attach it to them when you are writing them an email, so as an evidence that you actually studied in English. Most of them, especially the UK universities, they waive. For Canada and US, sometimes they're a bit more stubborn. They are a bit more stubborn. And for those ones, they need more of TOEFL than IELTS. because, their argument is that IELTS is organized by the British Council and all that. So they want the one that is organized by ETS, and that is their own, But negotiation too. If you are able to negotiate with them, even those Canadian and US schools, and attach the proficiency certificate, now their own, for those ones, some of them may agree, some of them may not agree. So for some of them that agreed, if you don't have the financial capability, because I also know that as a final year student, for instance, coughing out 84,000 naira to write IELTS may not be easy for everybody. So if you are able to get, even if it is one or two that we're able to waive for you, maybe you can focus on applying to those ones. Plus now there are many other scholarships that don't require that, like German scholarship, German universities, most of them don't require those English tests. So perhaps you can start your application from those schools that don't require this test. As you progress, maybe if you gather the fund to write those exams, then you can write the exams and, also increase your chances. I wrote TOEFL and I wrote IELTS. I wrote two of them. So what happened was that I wrote TOEFL when I was applying to Canadian schools. They needed TOEFL and GRE. And because then I was in Algeria, and because I was in Algeria, the centers for GRE had been closed. I would have written that one too. So I begged them to waive GRE for me because that one was the more challenging one. But I felt like I can't beg them to waive GRE and also beg them to waive TOEFL. It would be like, you're not serious with your life. So I told them to waive GRE for me. Then I wrote TOEFL. I passed very well. But for the current program I'm doing, when I was shortlisted, after writing my research proposal, and I was shortlisted for the first stage, which means the second stage that was to come was the interview, the oral interview with the professors from the school. I did the interview and I passed that stage again. So what they said was that the last stage now is for me to write IELTS. I told them, my usual way of writing emails. I negotiated with them. I have a resounding score in TOEFL that I've written before, and it is still valid. I wrote it within 2 years. So I don't see why I should write IELTS. They refused. They said, unless I want to give up the admission, that I should write IELTS. I had to register that one again. I wrote it within 1 week after registration, and then I passed. So I passed their requirements. So I sent them the results, and so that was how the whole thing ended. So for these exams, negotiation, and that is why I told you that if you engage yourself in these volunteering jobs and experiences, you will learn how to negotiate. You will learn how to frame emails, professional emails. But always remember that those people in the selection committee and in these universities, they are human beings like you. And because they are human beings like you, you can always negotiate. In fact, I have a friend who got 2 scholarships. He got one in Canada and he got one in US. So when he was negotiation, so he wanted to go to the one in US, but he used it as a bait. So what he told the one in Canada was that he wanted to bring his family over, the young family. And because of that, he doesn't know if they can process the visa or whatever and all that. So he wrote that to the one in Canada and also wrote it to the one in US. And because he needed a higher offer, the one in US was the one that increased the scholarship, and they also helped him process the visa for his wife. And that is the power of negotiation. So you can always negotiate, and for that exam, negotiate well with them. You may be able to get, a waiver or something. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. So would like to get final words. From Mrs. Izine, can we have your final words for career professionals who are trying to strive and make better ends meet for themselves, especially in our country, Nigeria?
Hi, good afternoon again.
Welcome, ma'am.
Okay, so last words from just the world is your oyster. I know it's very cliche, but then we need to think outside our boxes. We need to start on time. We need to. A lot of you, this is a great opportunity because you're being mentored while you're in school. Some of us had it the rough way. Just give me a second.
I think she's having network issue.
Okay, okay. So probably would Mr. Naval.
Can we continue while we wait for?
All right. Thank you.
Yes. So last words.
All right. Thank you
Advisors.
again for having me. My last words, they will also revolve around what I've said earlier. Start on time for the undergraduates in the core. Start on time. No time is early. In fact, even if you want to, I have a friend now, she's in the World Bank, and I remember her telling me from her first year that everything she was doing from her first year, she wanted to be in the World Bank. Now she's a consultant at the World Bank. So start on time, start making the plans, start looking at schools, start weighing alternative courses that you may want to do or the options you have. Start making the list. Volunteer. Volunteer in organizations that are or are not related to what you want to do. If you don't learn the hard skills, you will learn the soft skills. Keep an open mind. There are a lot of things that will happen to us in this life that were never in our schedule. Keep an open mind. Know that as you grow, as you progress in life, a lot of things about you will change. It's a constant. So keep an open mind. Know that you can actually explore different things. As a human being that has been associated with people that have gone to the university in the first place, you have more skills than you will even realize. But when the chips are down, when it is now necessary for you to apply them, you will see that you actually had those things, but you didn't know you had them. And as much as possible, this is not a church forum or whatever, but you can seek help from any supreme being you believe in, if at all you believe in any.
Very necessary.
Yes, you try your best to consult the supreme being you believe in and do your work. There is all success is not based on hard work. Sometimes you just get a divine providence. Sometimes you just get some connection that helped you without your really big effort. So that is where that grace I'm talking about comes in. That is where the connection with the supreme being you believe in comes in. And your sky is your starting point. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chinedu, and we thank you. We thank everyone who has followed us through from the beginning up to this point. Can you hear me, Ma?
Yes. I'm
okay.
Being a network.
Okay.
I'm just saying that mentorships for me is very important. It has helped me a lot, and each time I talk to people, I always encourage them to. It mustn't be one-on-one mentorships. It can be group mentorships, like what's happening now. If you have opportunities for one-on-one mentorships, it's important because these are people who have gone through what you're trying to go through, and it can help you sort of cut corners. It's like what the other speaker talked about. If you want to apply for a scholarship, look out for people who have applied for that scholarship, who are on that scholarship. There are tricks that they will show you that will make you be able to get the scholarship. So that's the same thing with life, with work, with career. look out for people who are in that field. Sometimes it's difficult for one-on-one mentorships, but try to follow what they do, read up about them, and you also have to be ready to be mentored. So mentorship is a two-way thing. So you have to also, like the same way I said, opportunities, prepare yourself for opportunities so that when they come, you're ready. So prepare yourself to be mentored so that when someone agrees to mentor you, the person is not disappointed. So that's one thing I would say, mentorship, and always try to build yourself. Whether it's technical know-how on the job or it's doing online courses, there's so many ways you can actually build yourself. So it doesn't have to be you have to go to the classroom. Not everybody would get to do a master's, not everybody will do a PhD. So sometimes actually I like the people who are the speakers on the call today. It's varied. Someone has a PhD, someone is trying to get an MPH, someone is fine with a BSc, and we're all doing well. So it's for you to realize that you don't have to follow the crowd. Take time to think of yourself, what works for you. Do a proper career mapping. That's why mentorship is important. Do career mapping. Think of what you want, what works for you, what is the most appropriate thing for you, and follow it through. So I wish you all well, and I'm always open to, I don't know, anyone who needs some guidance or some help. I'm always willing. The little I know, I like to share. So thank you very much for having me on the platform. And I hope one or two people have been inspired by the discussion we've had today. And I hope we'll meet sometime somewhere better places. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you. So on your skills, groom yourself, get a mentor, pick the particular sector in which you would want to start as an entrepreneur. You would also need to get your relationship capital, network with people, and also take into cognizance so many things our speakers have highlighted. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone who have joined this call. Thank you to the panelists, Mr. Chinedu Nebo, Mrs. Izine, and Mr. Onyeka Akuma. Thank you, everybody, and thank you to the members of the team, Mr. Tony, Miss Okoyemi, Mrs. Okoyemi, sorry, and Mr. Elder David. So we'll get back to you via email, and thank you for connecting. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.